Hello and welcome back to the week number 3 of the October Stained Glass Kit. I hope that you are doing well today. We've got a fantastic project for you today. Last 2 weeks we did the duck, the bonsai, and now today we've got the little bird here. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started here. And I hope you're doing well today. We're going to go ahead and get our apron on first here. Always a good idea to try to protect your clothes as much as you can. And hey, Michael, how are you today? Hey, Matt, thanks for joining us. Good to see y'all again. And so we are going to go ahead and get started with today's project here. Go ahead and grab our glass. Got our little pattern. So we're going to be using the yellow, the white clear, and the brown glass for today. Hey, Homemade, thanks for joining. Hey, Connie, thanks for joining. Hey, Mary Beth, thanks for joining. Good to see you all. Need to go ahead and clean off my little workspace here from last time a little bit. Got some little solder droplets all over the place. And let's go ahead and grab our glass. So these are the 3 glasses that I'll plan to be using today. So for the beak, we have our little beak piece we're going to be putting on the brown glass. Try to emulate a dark beak, and this is mostly going to be covered with foil, which is fine, because it's kind of a smaller piece. And hey, Mary, thanks for joining. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get our yellow pieces on. Got our yellow gloss. This is kind of a yellowish bird here. And what I'm going to try to do is for the head, I'm going to try to make it a little bit more of the denser yellow. The head and body, and then the areas that are a little bit kind of near the wings, I'm going to try to make those a little bit of the lighter yellow areas. So we're going to got our white piece right here, kind of sort of like where the neck would be on a person. Put that down. And then another darker yellow spot right here. And then we're going to do the same thing right here. One right there. And then the rest of these we're going to try to get them to be a little bit in lighter areas if we can. That is the idea. And, oh, gotcha. Hey, Valerie, no worries. That's pretty funny. Okay, so we're going to want to try to strategically place these where we're going to get a decent yield, but still be in kind of the lighter areas. There we go. I just got a few more pieces to place, and then we're ready to pretty much start cutting. So another pretty straightforward panel here, and we are pretty much ready to go. Go ahead and grab our pencil grip glass cutter like always. Go ahead and get all of our pieces separated, and then we will set them aside. We've just got these yellow pieces here. is doing well today. We are in our 3rd week, then we've got our 4th week. We're doing a lemon next week, so we've got plenty of yellow glass for that. Now we're going to want to go ahead and separate all these pieces, trying to prevent any breakage across each other. That's what we want to avoid. And once we have these all separated, we'll go through and start with the scoring of each individual piece. And it is great to see many of the regulars back again. Thank you all for joining us. And if you are new here, this is a part of our Stained Glass Mastery community where we share projects, and we have tons of free resources and a great community of like-minded artists. So if you're interested in that, check out the free Stained Glass Mastery community. And let's go ahead and get our free camera into position. I'm going to keep it here while I move this around, give it a little bit of a better view here. There we go. Now we can see a little bit closer. All right. So here are pretty much all of the pieces for today's project. So we're going to go through and make sure everything is pretty well adhered, because these are kind of smaller pieces. So whenever they get to be a little bit smaller, they are prone to kind of moving around. So I'm just going to give them another little press with my finger here onto each piece of vinyl, especially this really small beak piece. And I think that should pretty much do it for us. So we're going to go ahead and score right on the edge of each of these little vinyl templates, doing our best to get as close as we can to it, not going over it, because the scoring wheel will not properly score that glass if it's not making direct contact on the glass. So we'll just take it nice and smooth and consistent. I like to push with my back hand. With my thumb, it kind of helps me just glide that nice and smoothly, instead of trying to control everything with my, the main hand, my right hand. In this case, I'm right-handed, so that's the side I hold the glass cutter on. And I find that just having a little bit of extra push from the offhand helps to maintain a nice, steady speed and pressure. Making pretty good progress here. Not too many pieces. It's a pretty simple pattern for today for the week number 3. And if you are interested in doing this project with us for next week or for the November kit, you can go ahead and purchase the November kit and have it ready for when we start in the 1st week of November, if that's something that you have been wanting to do. And as always, I look forward to seeing everyone's projects posted in the community. I always enjoy seeing everybody's creations. And it's kind of neat to see people using different glasses when we all do the same project. So of course you can follow along with me if you have your own glass, and the patterns are all available for free in the Stained Glass Mastery community if that's something that you are interested in. So again, we are just scoring with that wheel right on the edge of that vinyl, and you're not going to be able to always get it in one fell swoop. So sometimes I'll do one run with the glass cutter, and then I'll kind of switch it to a different spot and do another run. So that's kind of the way, especially when you got these curves that go all the way around. So I'll do one run, kind of send it off the edge, and then I'll start another. Now some of these spots have a pretty tight little curve here, and that we're going to be using the grinder, the little 1/4 inch grinding wheel. So that should pretty much work out right there. So that you won't have to worry about trying to get on the first try. So now that we've got all of our pieces scored, we're going to go ahead and get the Grozing pliers out. And Valerie mentioned copy the bonsai pattern on printable vinyl, and although the cutting skills are fairly good, found using the vinyl made cuts better. Yeah, I think that the vinyl is a little bit easier. So I do, you know, I very much have enjoyed using the vinyl. And normally with our studio projects, we don't normally use them unless the glass is completely opaque. But we do have a few projects where we're going to need to do some selective cutting coming up. And we're going to probably end up printing some big vinyl patterns. You know, this is a pretty big window. It's probably like 20 feet, 30 feet tall. And maybe 6 or 8, no, let's see, it's about 6 feet wide. So we've got a lot of glass. It's going to be kind of a big pattern. And the artist that designed this piece has a very selective way they want the glass to be cut. So I'm going to print out all of those patterns, and then they're going to place all of the patterns on the glass for where they want it, and then we are going to kind of do the rest with our craftsman. So that's going to be kind of a new thing for us with such a large vinyl pattern. But we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to work out pretty well. There we go. Sometimes I'll use 2 Grozing pliers if the piece is a little bit small and I don't feel too comfortable holding it with my fleshy hand. Trying to avoid getting any, you know, damage or scratches, stuff like that on my hands if I can. And you can already see a pretty big mess starting to accumulate here. That's why I like to get all of the cuts done first, all the scoring, and then go back and do all of the breaking. This is another one where it's going to be really small. There we go. Oh, did it break? No, it's fine. Okay, good. And then this little tiny bit we can just use the grinder to kind of clean that up. So far so good. I like to use the flat end on top and the curved end on the bottom whenever you're grozing these pieces down. Seems to give you just a little bit more leverage. Whenever you have these inside curves, I prefer to cut them like that to get it a little bit closer. And then you can kind of chew the glass down to the score line, and that'll give you a little bit of a better chance of not breaking it through the actual piece you want to keep. And if you use the little mini grozers, it gives you a little bit more precision with that process. And overall, these cuts were pretty simple, nothing too crazy. And yeah, the mini grosers are a really awesome tool. I've been really liking having one of these around, especially for the really kind of smaller pieces here. And there you have it. Another piece. Right here we've got a little bit of an inside curve. We're going to probably want to trim down the glass a little bit closer to it so we're not putting too much pressure. And this is a pretty shallow inside curve. I think we'll be all right with that one. Just like that. Now this one we're going to want to cut down a little bit more. And we honestly probably are going to just try to chew this down a little bit and then clean it up on the grinder. This is getting a little bit to be a really weak point right here across the little point there. So we're going to clean that up on the grinder. I think it's going to be our best bet. And slowly but surely just taking these down. Again, another small piece. We're going to, there we go. Use our second pair of grosers. Makes it a lot easier and more reliable to not get cut. So that's what we want. Got a bit of a shallow curve here. I think we can get it without. Just gonna try to take it a little bit slowly. There we go, we got it. So when they're pretty shallow, it's almost like a straight line. You don't need to be too careful. It could still break in a disadvantageous way, but now this one's a little bit tricky. We're gonna want to cut that one a little bit closer. Oops, got a little poke there. Put on a little glove just in case. There we go. All right. With our mini grosers, we'll just take it down. There we go. Got it. So these are all of our glass scraps here. Don't need any of those. And we did not have to recut any pieces. So we got a little bit lucky today. Now let's go ahead and switch over to our grinder. Oops, we got a few more pieces right here we're going to want to sweep out. There we go. Moving on to our grinder. Make sure we've got our little barrier over here to protect our boiler. And we are going to shoot some water into the little sponge here. All right. And we can go ahead and get started with our grinding. I'm actually wondering how we are looking down here as far as the buildup. We've got quite a bit of buildup in here. Probably, definitely not going to worry about that for the moment. Just going to move a little bit away from the actual grinding wheel. So I'm starting to get a little bit of buildup up top. And then one of these days, I will need to clean all of that up. Oh, look at all that. Quite a bit built up right there. I'll go ahead and move this off into the trash can. That should be good. Better than before, anyway. All right. There we go. Good for a little while longer there. All right. And we can now proceed with our grinding. So we're going to take this down all the way till there's no color showing around the little vinyl templates. And it's a good idea to wear some gloves here. I'm sorry, some glasses here. I wear my, I got glasses that I wear all the time. You want to wear some safety glasses on top, or at the very least a pair of safety glasses if you don't wear glasses, because there are quite a few little shards and glass specks that shoot all over the place. So you're going to want to protect yourself. Now, this is pretty much what you end up with here. So we're going to take off our little pattern and drop it into our little cup of water here. And that's just going to keep it from all that glass dust drying and making it a real pain for us to, clean it up and all that. We want to make sure everything is as easy as we can get it. We're going to get this a little bit closer, kind of see what's going on here. Just taking that down all the way. And I got another piece. Alrighty. So we're moving along pretty good today. This is a yellow and white bird. I think it's going to be a nice addition to our October project hanging on the wall. Alrighty. Got our next piece. Actually, I think that I need to drop this down just a little bit. I think it's a little bit too high. There we go. All right, there we go. That should do it. Take that off and we'll do one more pass all the way around. Make sure that we are all fully saturated there. All right. And this step is pretty easy. You might need to wear some gloves. And another thing that I've been wanting to demonstrate, I wonder if I still have it around here. It is the little thumb thing from Creators. Where do I put that thing? Here it is. So the way this thing works is you're supposed to put your finger inside of it instead of actually using your real finger. And it really just helps to push that glass, keeping your finger pretty much safe from getting cut from the edge of the glass. Kind of switch it between each hand. And I would say this works okay if it's something that you're interested in. I know that a few people were talking about the pancake or something like that. I forget exactly what it was called. But this one works out pretty well. I'm so used to using my hands that for me it's not super necessary. But if that is something that you struggle with, you know, if you get cut whenever you're doing some grinding, then you might want to consider something like this. So I tend to just use my hands, very used to it. Let's see how this piece looks. Looks pretty good. Probably just do one more pass. And we'll move on to the next one. Got a few more pieces to do. Oh, cookie, that's what they were called. And looks like Valerie likes to use the Michaels line of products for the Cricut machines, because they cost less than the Cricut brand. So if you're interested in buying some vinyl, you might want to look into that from Michaels. A little bit more on the bottom side here. There we go. And when you say, can I still feel high spots, what do you mean by that? Because the way that this little thing works is you really don't feel anything at all. It's just straight plastic with a little rubber ring on the base. And we've got a couple more pieces here. Here's our little tiny beak. Make sure we get that one all knocked down. knock this side down just a little bit further, and then we'll call it good. Got a couple more pieces here for the grinding. All right. And we've got one more piece here. Alrighty, all of our little pieces in our little cup here, and now we are ready to start drying them all off. We're going to make a few quick modifications to the space here. We're going to move this away. We're done with the grinder. We're going to get out our little microfiber cloths here. And we are going to start cleaning everything up. So what I like to do is just grab a few pieces, put them out onto the little microfiber here, and I like to start cleaning them up, taking out all the glass dust, especially on the edges. And we can put them onto our little pattern here. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I say, so I don't normally try to feel. I just look on the face of it whenever the vinyl is on there, and I'll just look to see if I can see any more color still. If I can still see color, I know I got to take it down a little bit further. So that's normally how I like to do it. You definitely can kind of feel the edge to see if it's kind of rough and all that. I kind of shy away from feeling the edge because I'm worried about cutting myself. So I definitely try to avoid that if I can. Just making sure to clean these pieces up very nicely here. Trying to remove all that water and all of that glass dust. Now we can optionally try to add a little eyeball in here. If I remember to do it, we'll give it a shot. I think it might look pretty good, but it's kind of hard to say until we give it a shot. So I'm going to try to remember to keep that in mind for when the time comes. I'm not sure where this piece goes. I must be a little bit confused here. This one might not be a real piece. Hard to say. Oh, I think it goes right here. Okay, we figured it out. There we go. Okay, good. Starting to get a little bit confused there for a second. Does happen. Especially if the projects get to be a little bit bigger, then it really starts to happen a lot. See if we can get a few more pieces out of here. Got quite a few more still hidden inside here. See if we can get all those out. I think we got maybe one more. That might be the very last one right there. Okay, good. Got our little beak piece here, the darkest piece. And it's kind of subtle. It did come out where the some pieces are a little bit more dense yellow versus others. And I think we're going to give the light table another shot today. I was able to kind of figure out a decent way to illuminate just what we want to see. So the light table is a little bit useful for that finished product. So we're going to give that another shot today. I was kind of messing with it. I think I figured something out. We're going to see if we can really see the difference in the two tones of the denser yellow versus the little bit more clear, streaky yellow. Oh yeah, definitely the vinyl takes a lot of that guesswork out. From the cutting to the grinding, I think it's just a really good sort of beginner, thing to do. If you're a beginner and you're trying to learn, giving that a shot is a pretty handy technique to get new started a little bit easier. And we've got our last piece here ready to start foiling. Everything seems to be fitting together quite well. So for that, I am feeling pretty good. Just going to give it a little bit more fine tuning here. And so far it's looking pretty good. I think that what we're going to want to do is get on our foil, and then we're going to try to see if we want to try to put the little eyeball on there. We might. I think it would look pretty good. I'm kind of looking at this. I think I'm going to want to grind this one down just a little bit more. We might have to cut down a little bit of that foil to try to get the glass to show up a little bit better, but we will get to that. Just doing a little bit of a fine adjustment here. There we go. Just trying to make the pieces fit together a little bit better before we start to foil. Because after we foil, it is no more. No more adjustments. That is it. And for the foiling, we are going to be breaking out our Magna foiler. as we always do. So we're going to need to do some foiling and then burnishing. I'll pull out a little bit of foil, cut that down, just in case we got any little impurities in it. Since last time. And we'll just roll these pieces through the foiler. You can see it makes pretty quick work here. And I've been using this for quite a while, probably, gosh, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 projects, something like that. It's been a while. And I know last I checked, we were sold out of these units. There we go, got our first piece foiled here. Now knowing that we need to place another order, get some more in. And yeah, definitely, even if you're not a beginner, the vinyl's a great way to cut and grind. I've been really liking it. I think it makes it quite a bit faster. If you don't have to keep comparing, going back and comparing with the pattern and all that. So that's one thing that I really do like about it. A bit of a better view there. And I find that these especially work really well, the spoiler, on the bigger pieces. The smaller pieces, it's a little bit harder, but if you just kind of use it as a dispenser, it works quite well too. And Valerie's mentioned that she might try to make the eye with rounded wire soldered into the seam and then filled with solder. That's a good idea. I might even give that a shot too, because it'll hold. We'll see. I might try it with the foil. I found that with these eyes on these, you kind of just want it to be really subtle. I'm worried that with the wire, it might look a little bit like a really big eye instead of just like a really subtle indication of an eye there. I know I made that mistake in the past one time, and I was like, oh man, that doesn't quite look right. But give it a shot. I think if you maybe just keep that wire to a bit of a small size, I think you can make it work. Nice centered up foil here. There we go. Coming out just right here. And this is kind of the smallest piece, this little beak. I'm not even going to try to run it through. I'm just going to use this as a dispenser. And it works out really well for that too. And there you have it. A little beak. Barely any of that brown gloss showing, but that's okay. We're still getting the overall effect that we want, even if we're not seeing that brown glass. And whenever I get these inside curves, I like to take this little fiddle stick, from Creators, and I like to just gradually work it over and down. Helps prevent any rips. So that gives me really good luck. I've had good luck with it. Pull our little piece through here. Pretty straightforward process. I like to cut, I use these little lead dikes to cut that foil. It works really well. I've seen some people use scissors, or some people just tear it. I find that the lead dikes are pretty consistent, pretty sharp, and when it cuts it, it doesn't like stick to the blades of it. Like with the scissors, I found that sometimes the foil, the part that's left behind, will sort of stick to the blades of the scissors, and I don't want it to do that. You know, I want it to leave it behind. I find that the lead dikes really don't do that, so that's kind of why I use them, and it works pretty well for me. What I try to do about a 1/4 inch overlap. Sometimes I'll do way more. This piece I did quite a bit of an overlap, kind of on accident. Just not the end of the world. Oops. And again, we've got an inside curve here. This one's pretty shallow, so it's not like we need to really do this with the fiddlestick probably, but better safe than sorry. If you come this far with it, you might as well make it as good as you can. And we've got one last piece here. And Valerie mentioned working on a Phoenix for a grandson, but it's bigger, so the wire might work better than for the smaller bird. Oh, definitely, definitely. If it's a bigger one, then definitely you're going to want to make that eye proportional. And a little tiny bit of foil might be worse, exactly like you're saying. So definitely with something like that big Phoenix, you're going to want to, put a bigger eye, and that wire probably is definitely going to be a better solution for that. And just like that, we're all done with our foiling. This is all of the backing that we use, so a pretty good amount of backing here. Throw that away. And we're going to keep the foiler out, just going to set it aside for the moment. And now we need to get to burnishing all of these pieces here. So we're going to go ahead and grab our little table brush. Try to sweep off some of this debris. Got a lot of debris right here. And we're going to get to the burnishing here. And I like to just use a little fiddle stick. I'm going to go ahead and modify this. And then we'll switch back. Okay. So we've got all of our pieces here to burnish. And as we finish them up, we're going to put them onto our little pattern. Okay. Now when I burnish, I like to do the edges first. Try to prevent any sort of air gaps from getting caught in there if we can. And then we'll do the faces, make sure it's all nice and smoothed down. And with this one, we're going to want to cut out a little bit of this color. And alternatively, I'm using a 1/4 inch foil here. You can use a little bit of a thinner foil, and then you won't have to cut it out like I am. I think if you're using a 7/32, I don't think you would have to cut it out. Just want to have at least a tiny little bit of that yellow showing on both sides. There we have it. Got our first piece burnished. Go ahead and put that down. Move on to our next piece. And I think we had someone else doing a phoenix in the group. I think Jack was doing a phoenix too, wasn't he? Or someone was doing a phoenix, I thought. I might be mistaken. But I thought that somebody was doing a phoenix also. Maybe it was you, Valerie, that I saw. You might have posted something in there. Another piece. Looking good. And these are smooth glosses, so they're pretty easy to burnish. You get a lot of texture in them, that's when you start to have a little bit of a harder time. And you'll kind of see the texture of that foil change as you burnish it, because it sort of smooths out or takes the shape of the face of that glass. Whatever that shape is, it kind of becomes that. And on this piece we got a little bit of yellow showing, so I'm good with that. And the burnishing takes a little bit of time. It's a lot of the same thing. Nothing too complicated or special here. Just taking your time. Make sure to not skimp out here. You're going to want to make sure to really get all that foil down well, because you don't want to be getting a lot of flux or solder or stuff like that up underneath this foil. It's going to really kind of wreck your project. There we go. Another piece. I believe this is our little tail piece here. All right. Got our little sort of neck part. Sort of the neck, or kind of like the chest a little bit of the bird here. We're going to kind of review that to put the little eyeball on. Got a little bit of overlap foil that's not quite overlapped properly. We're going to have to trim that down with the X-Acto blade. The X-Acto blade definitely comes in handy in this part. There we go. Got one there. Just need one right here. All right. Got that all smoothed out nicely. Jack is doing the Stormcrow and you're doing the Phoenix. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I thought that I had seen some overlap or some similarity when I could remember. Very cool. Right. And we've got a few more pieces here. Then it'll be time to do some soldering. And so far this has been a pretty simple and straightforward project. Nothing too crazy. I probably would say maybe not a perfect project as the very first project for somebody, but definitely one of the first 5 to 10. Even maybe a second project would not be bad. So I think somewhere in the 2nd to 5th project range would be appropriate for something like this. It's overall pretty simple, nothing too crazy. And of course, if you just take your time, normally you can do just about any project. But if you don't want to get too frustrated, I think this would be a decent one to kind of get started with on the earlier side of someone's, you know, sort of stained glass journey. I've got two more little pieces here to burnish down. And then we will be moving on to the soldering. Just need to make sure that everything fits really nicely. I do want to pick up a few pieces and kind of put some foil on there for a little eyeball. Just something very subtle. Nothing too crazy. And we're going to make sure, I think I had a little bit of a overlap issue here. Get that trimmed down, there we go. Make sure it's all burnished properly. Get that set back down. We got one last tiny little, last but not least, our little beak here. Make sure everything is really adhered well. There we go. Okay. Just gonna really set everything up the way I want it. There we go, looking pretty good so far. And now we are going to kind of look at these two pieces here and decide where some little eyeball should go. I think we're going to just try to yank out a little bit of foil here. We don't need this much. Like something pretty, let's see, let's say, this might be too small actually. Grab a little bit more here. Kind of tape those together. And then I think I can maybe check my note here just to check to see if, yeah, I don't really have one in my notes. So I think maybe we'll see how this looks, and then if I like it, we'll keep it. If not, we might do without. Okay, now I think it looks okay. I don't know, I think we might want to do without. Let's see, I'll see what y'all think. Do y'all think we should keep the eye as I've got it there, or do you think we should do without? I don't think it's too bad, but I don't know about it quite yet. Wondering what y'all think about that. It's very subtle. You can almost barely even see. It's just a little bit bigger. You know, the foil kind of comes out just a little bit more. think we should go ahead and keep it there. Okay, we'll keep it on. And we'll see how it looks with the solder. So if you're trying to emulate something similar, you can put the pieces down, you know, like you're going to solder them. And then you can tape them together. And then you can just cut it. And so you know they're going to be pretty much lined up. Pretty much just right. Because they were lined up, you know, before, you know, when you tape them. So that's how I like to do that. If you want two things to line up next to each other. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our iron. Get our gloves on. Get our heat-resistant gloves on. Get our fume extractor on. And I think with that stuff, we'll be ready to solder. Kind of waiting for the iron to heat up here. Get out some flux. Give it a little mix. Rearrange our pieces back to where we want them. Before I went and did a number on it.
And sometimes you have to use these little tools to do these little fine adjustments. At least I know I have to. My hands will just knock this stuff all over the place.
There we go. Looking pretty good here. Going to go ahead and drop some flux. Being careful not to move stuff around. Just barely making contact. Just to drip a little bit of flux where I want it. We can see how the iron's doing. It's a little bit, got some debris on there. Just wire brush all that off. Get it looking nice and clean. There we go. Oops, and let's see if we're ready yet. Oh. Man, it's a little bit heated up. Just going to try to drop some solder wherever we can. Kind of move this thing in a little bit more. There we go. I think that pretty much will do it. For the tacking here, I like to tack them all together. Get this little pattern out of our way. And then I can go back, really flex it up. And start to really lay down some solder. And there's a little bit of a subtle bit of extra solder right there on the eyeball area. So that's what we wanted. Just something where you can almost not even tell. At least for this size of bird. Like Valerie said, if you're doing a bigger one like that Phoenix, you're definitely going to want to make it a little bit more prominent. There we go. Right. And this is by no means our finished bead here. We're just trying to get everything all soldered up. Make sure all the perimeter is tinned. I'm going to go ahead and get my little heat-resistant glove on here. Make sure I don't hurt myself. Let's see. Make sure we got enough solder on everything here. I'm going to go ahead and touch this up a little bit since I'm here. It's looking a little bit rough. We're going to have to come back and touch this up anyway because when we solder through to the other side, it's probably going to mess this side up a little bit. Okay, that's a good start. So we'll go ahead and flip this over. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more right here. Okay, now we can flip it over. And we will go ahead and flex this up. It's a very small panel, so the soldering goes by really quickly here. Just taking our time. Make sure that we got everything pretty much covered up here. And if we have some extra heavy drops on the side, that's okay. We can use that when we go to edge bead here in just a moment. Few bubbles. Might have some flux trapped between the two surfaces here. It's really bubbling up right here. There we go. We'll just make sure we got some solder all the way around here. And now we'll go through and get our edge beading. Go ahead and switch to this camera while I adjust this one around. It's going to get way too shaky. grab this and slowly but surely just make sure we got a nice rounded bead. Oops, you can't quite see. Move you over here and see if we can see a little better now. I think so. Hey Bobby, thanks for joining. Good luck in your craft show. Oops. Okay, there we go. Just take it nice and slow. Just get everything all nice and rounded over. And these gloves are a must. They might make you a little bit sloppy, but they definitely work. You know, I know that before, when I didn't used to use the heat-resistant gloves, I was really careful, make sure not to get any drips on me, nothing like that. And now that I got the, you know, heat-resistant gloves, just really kind of trusting them a lot, you know what I mean? So they definitely work. Definitely worth it, every penny for those. I always harp on that because I went for a really long time without using them. Just being stubborn, really is all it is. Let's get this cleaned up a little bit. Just kind of spinning the little panel as needed so that gravity will work in your favor. Got our little beak here. Make sure it looks good. I think we are back at the beginning. So we are going to kind of touch everything up, and we are going to also want to put on a little hook to hang it. Probably we're going to put it right here, kind of behind the head there, and I think that will pretty much do it. And we're going to also want to do some patina today. We will get to that here shortly. And whenever you're soldering, you're going to want to try to keep that molten edge into a molten edge. It's going to, you know, give you the best results that you're looking for. And I think that for the back side, this is good. We're going to go ahead and grab our wire. Got it right here. Do a little loop into a little braided cable. And this should do the trick right here. I'm going to mount it right in there. This might be a little bit long. I'm going to probably cut this down just a little bit more. I'm I'm going to grab it with our Grosers. I think that we can just submerge it into that solder right there, exactly like that. Go ahead and heat this up. Heat up the solder underneath it. Heat up the wire on top. Try to just get it to really submerge in there, just like that. And then we'll add a little bit more flux on top, or I'm sorry, a little more solder on top. I don't think we need any more flux, we'll see. We'll give it a shot without the flux. Oops. I think it'll hold right there. Just like that. Looks pretty good. So now we are going to want to just make sure this is going to pretty much be exactly what we want right there. And then we can go through and fix up the front. Probably have some solder droplets and stuff like that we need to kind of get placed in the correct position. There we go, get that off of there. I think that overall this is looking pretty good. Just wire brushing off any loose solder. Just going to try to really kind of take care of these, any rough looking solder runs that I see. Just try to take care of them if I can. And now we are pretty much ready. I'm going to go ahead and turn the iron off to start our finishing here. Go ahead and switch over to the camera for a second. There we go. So we are going to be using a black patina today, like we pretty much always do. And I like to just take our little rag here, pour on a healthy amount, and just kind of really apply it on pretty heavily. And it's a little bit warm right now, so I'm going to kind of leave it on the table. Apply it pretty heavily, let it kind of soak in. We'll go to the other side. And we're pretty much getting to the end of this project. I hope that everyone enjoyed it today. It's our little bird here for the week number 3 of the August kit. And I think that we are going to be able to, you can see our little eyeball right there. It's just very subtly a little bit bigger. All right, everything looks really good there. Nice and patinaed, very dark. What we are going to try to do is get our little pattern over here. See if we can make it show up this time with a new idea that I had. Let's see. You know what? I need to clean this up just a little bit more. What I like to do after we do the patina, shoot it with a little bit of glass cleaner. Get out the microfiber cloth. Try to get off any debris that might be left over. And we can see very subtly, we put our kind of denser yellow pieces right here in the head, the tops of the wings. And then the bottoms are a little bit less dense. And you can kind of see through those a little bit more. And I'm going to put them onto our little light table here. we can kind of see our little project for today. So it still shows up pretty kind of washed out a little bit, but pretty cool. So, but other than that, everyone, I do hope that you enjoyed the week number 3 Stained Glass project. As always, check out the Stained Glass Mastery community where we've got tons of free resources, guides, great community of like-minded artists. You can share projects, ask questions, and a whole lot more. So again, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week for the week number 4 of the October kit. Thanks so much. Goodbye.